Ice cream, we all scream for ice cream. I'm Paul. I'm author of the book, Paul's Heart Life as a Dad, and a 35-year cancer survivor, available on Amazon. Favorite longtime chant. And thanks to a presidential act in 1984, the third Sunday of July is recognized as National Ice Cream Day. Now, I say it is literally okay to have ice cream today for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, maybe a little bit overboard, but back in 1988, when I was going through chemo for my Hodgkin's lymphoma, it was not unusual for me to eat large amounts of ice cream and pasta. Why, you may ask? Well, oddly, part of my chemotherapy cocktail of MOP ABV, which is MOPP ABV, I won't get into the individual drug names and issues related to each, but I was actually restricted from eating certain foods. Surprisingly, and not a problem for me being a picky eater, the restrictions were for healthy foods such as broccoli and cauliflower, but also others that I did eat, such as processed foods like cheese, carbonated beverages, and bananas. Now, the reasons for these restrictions ranged anywhere from contradictions to the chemo to issues with bloating and gas, bacteria from eating raw or not cleaned well enough vegetables, or issues with high fiber, which can be problematic if you're experiencing bowel GI issues or the ever popular mouth irritation issues. But you know what was not restricted? Ice cream. And of course, pasta. Again, mentioning that I'm a picky eater, I had no problem with either of these options. However, I did get a warning from my oncologist, don't go crazy on eating this stuff, making reference to a major side effect from prednisone, one of those chemo drugs in that cocktail, weight gain. Now, one thing that I hadn't expected going through chemotherapy, especially after going through radiation therapy, having lost weight, was gaining weight. Anything I knew about chemotherapy stereotypes was that patients looked almost waif like, having lost so much weight during their treatments. Now, unexpectedly, I gained 50 pounds during my chemo, which I believe is courtesy of the prednisone side effects, the increased hunger, fluid retention, metabolism changes, and yes, muscle loss. And when I say hunger, I mean ravenous. I could eat pints of ice cream at a time, which, by the way, also helped with the mouth discomfort, and quarts of containers of meals that I made of pasta. The result of this diet, something we in the cancer world describe as moon face. Now, I don't have any pictures to show you because we're not happy with that side effect. But because of this one side effect, next to hair loss, this is one that really upsets us. This moon face. But just as it describes, the moon is round, and no matter the shapes of our faces look swollen and much more round, like the moon, as a result of the high dose prednisone intake. Now, multiple drugs are often used to treat cancer together because that's what was studied and determined to have the best chance to reach remission and, more importantly, stay in remission. And in particular, prednisone actually helps to reduce side effects of the other chemotherapy drugs and has its own benefits of destroying lymphoma cells, in working with the other drugs to reduce any inflammation, reduce any potential allergies, and there's even the benefit to reducing, though not eliminating, nausea, which is what other drugs are for. But it's the one super unfortunate side effect, increased hunger, that will easily cause a potentially major weight gain. Which, to be honest, gaining some weight during chemo is not a bad thing. Now, I do understand that 50 pounds I gained was not good, but here's the important part, okay? Just like hair loss, and you can see I've got plenty of it, okay? The weight gain is temporary. Now, just like the hair, you can see it as you reach the end of your treatments. The hair has already started growing back, okay? But slowly and surely, the weight will drop off. And if you use hair growth by comparison, you know the weight loss isn't going to happen overnight either. At the completion of my chemo, the date that I go by, March 3rd, 1990, I gave myself a break. Okay, my body had gone through unbelievable trauma for the last 2 years. It deserved to have a break. Just so I could soak in everything that I'd gone through. Now in remission, I could gather my thoughts. Yes, things are going to be different for me. The life that I knew before cancer no longer existed. I had a lot to adjust, a lot to produce. And part of that was also including a list of goals that I needed to achieve as quickly as I possibly could, and potentially how long it could take. And one of those, my number one, was dropping the 50 pounds that I gained. My hair had already started growing. Okay, the weight gain definitely didn't have me feeling well. I'd never weighed that much in my lifetime. So the easy part would be focusing on my diet. Now, off the prednisone and the chemo, my diet was no longer restricted, and the amounts would be that I would eat would be much smaller as my hunger had decreased. And exercise, look, you don't have to have a gym membership or anything. Even the smallest effort, such as a 5-minute walk in the beginning, and you build up as your stamina returns, makes a difference. Because for 2 years, I did nothing. Okay. As time went on, I felt my body get stronger. I was able to do more. And yes, the weight did come off. Okay. It did take 6 months, and that's the reality. And if you tell any of us in the beginning how long it would take for this to happen, it would overwhelm us. We don't want to live like this for that whole time. But I'm just being realistic. You can't expect the hair to grow back overnight. You can't expect the weight loss to drop overnight. Okay? If you went through cancer treatments, you likely went through a year or more of some of the most difficult days. You can get through this recovery so much more easily. And the great thing is, of all the things that I lost my love for food wise during my cancer days, ice cream isn't one of them, which is why I'm definitely celebrating today. And with 3 meals to choose from, I'm not going to be limited to my choices. Waffles and ice cream for breakfast, an ice cream sandwich for lunch with my sandwich. And I'll top it off with a nice sundae to cap off Sunday. That sounds like a plan. Happy National Ice Cream Day. Until next time, this is Paul's Heart.